The views and opinions of the hosts do not reflect the views and opinions of the show, the management of this page, and the organizations that the hosts are affiliated with.
Take a taxi cab or an Uber ride. It's feeling like it's gonna be a boogie night. Cause I really wanna get up on the dance this night away. I got my suede shoes and a plaid vest. Call me Sir Arthur on a noble quest. Cause I really wanna get up on it, ride this night away. So I say hey!
We also have to start somewhere.
Naging asap na ba tayo? Eto, Max.
Similar, pero mas masarap ulit sa Pilipinas.
But I am apologizing. On tama ko po lang hindi naliligaw. Pero
Let me hear you scream. Give me all you got.
Kuru-Kuro Sessions. Kuru-Kuro Sessions.
Let me hear you shout. Let me hear you scream. Oh, give me all you got. Come and dance with me. You twist up a fat one.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, good
Hello,
evening.
everyone.
good
I'm
evening.
still having my echo. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, let's talk. Are you lonely and have no one to talk to? Or do you miss the Philippines and you need someone to talk to? Your favorite gang every Wednesday is here tonight. The show that was made for overseas Filipinos for our fellow Filipinos. Let's have our chit chat in our favorite rendezvous. This is Kuru-Kuro Sessions. Rendezvous. You rendezvous there.
Rendezvous. Well, it's not even English. So there you go. One,
Yes. Someone
I think the
has to.
quality of your sound, Dazzy, is not that good.
two. Oh, really? Oh, my goodness. Why?
It's a bit
So how
more.
was your
Goodness.
week?
That's How about now? How now?
Well, I have to bring my tissue. Where's my tissue? Because I'm gonna have blood.
We sound like
Bloodletting.
foreigners tonight.
Oh yes.
Hey, we
Okay.
are foreigners here.
All right.
Yes, you're right.
And we should be very talkative, okay? We cannot be silent tonight,
There are
okay?
certified foreigners here.
Oh yeah. Oh, it
I
doesn't
think
mean
we
to say
should.
that you're a foreigner
I
when
think
you
we should
speak in
establish
English.
first that we have a contest also. So whoever speaks the most Tagalog words would have a punishment.
Okay.
No, we have to pay.
Yeah, that's right. So we will be counting every time someone speaks a Tagalog word.
All right. And since I see a lady writing down some notes there, so that lady is our official Tara girl,
Tabulator.
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 So our resident professor here, who's
Is
used
our
to.
tabulator. I think I saw my name.
Yes, you did.
Okay. Did I
Okay,
speak in
wait, let
Filipino?
me just. No, you spoke in French. You said
Oh, really?
rendezvous.
OMG. Oh, rendezvous is also in the American vocabulary.
Oh,
Yeah.
P, Q,
Christy, why are you so
R, S, T.
silent there?
Okay, I will not speak much so that I will not commit mistake. Less,
I love
less talk,
English.
less mistakes.
Yeah, I want to see that vibe of Gonor who's very enthusiastic
Okay,
and
let's see
very
how many dollars you're going to
I'm just
spare
trying to be
for
cautious
tonight.
because I'm caught speaking a Tagalog word.
all right. So I think we should give our viewers an insight of why are we speaking in English.
Because they might
And that
think that
is-
they're watching the wrong show.
Yeah, you think you're watching The View,
The View, yes, you're right.
although this is not The View. All right, so our topic tonight is about English, the English language. That is why our TSB or question for the
Day.
for the
Question
what? For the
for the
people.
country, for the people.
Question for the people is, what is the significance of the English language to the Filipinos? Sorry, is my spelling correct? Significant.
Yes, I think, yeah, yes, it's correct.
Because we are always used to auto correct.
And I think we should remind our viewers to also reply
Oh, you
in
also
English
need to
if
speak
possible.
English, so you can
No, it's not.
join.
Yeah, if,
Join
if
But
they
if
the
it's
reply,
okay,
fun.
if they reply in Filipino, they will also get fined. Remember, this is
yes,
the city.
yes. So this is
We are
going
in
to be the all
Singapore,
English
Fine city. I mean,
episode.
what is that?
This is
All
going to
What
be
is
the all
English.
that?
English episode.
Yes, it's an all English. I like it. This is what I like. Why are you laughing at me? All
What
right.
was the question? What was the question, June?
Okay, let me repeat the question. The question for the people. What is the
Yes.
significance of the English language to the Filipinos? What is the significance of the English language at your workplace, or even staying here in a foreign land, or
Yes.
even when you're in business meetings, or even when you're like, for example, for our foreign domestic workers, like what's the significance of English when they're actually doing their domestication? Domestication.
Domestication. When they're doing their
One
work.
point. One point.
Oh, I
What
never
did
said
he
anything wrong.
say?
I only said domestication. I
No,
never
that's
said
not
anything
proper
with word.
English.
Oh, do we have to be proper?
No, we never had any rule that if it's an improper English or if it's a wrong English,
No, it's incorrect.
but it was never in a rule that if you speak a wrong English, they also tabulate that.
But that defeats the purpose.
Okay, no, you only set the
Okay.
rule right now. Okay,
Okay, we set
if you want
we
to start
reset
it
the rule.
now, let's start it now.
So just as long as we don't speak any single word of Tagalog, so that would be
Okay.
considered
Yeah, okay. All
one
right. So
point.
no grammar Nazi for tonight.
Yes, no
Yes,
grammar.
All
no
right.
grammar Nazi.
Okay.
Else, I will
Okay.
call the Nazis. I will call the Nazis. Okay, first question. Okay, let's talk about your early English experience. Can you
So maybe
share
you
your
can,
stories of
maybe you
using
can share
English
why
as
we
a
ended up
language
with this
in
topic.
school during your early education years? Like, I believe you have those English only kind of rules in school. Anyone who
June,
wants to
maybe
start?
you can share why we ended up with this topic.
Yes.
I don't know. No.
So
We
in a
have it.
report last week,
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Porter.
um, there was a news that based on a study, we slid down in our English proficiency from rank 27 to rank 27 in the world. I forgot
I
from
think you were
which slot.
24.
We were 24th and we slid down to 27th, but we are still the second in Asia, second
Right.
only to Singapore.
But we
So
were considered as high
For
proficiency.
English proficiency.
for English proficiency.
We're categorized on the second category because the first category is where Singapore belongs to, which is like I think very high proficiency, something like that. Okay, that's why we came up to this. I really hate this because it's actually having some echo on my ears. All right, so basically, actually, what happens is that because of that topic, I said to the group that hey, we can talk about English and what is the significance of English into our lives. Why are you
The
laughing,
English
Rhoda?
language.
Of the English
Yes.
language.
And so here we are punishing
Yes.
ourselves to talk in.
No, we're not punishing
in-
ourselves. We're enjoying it.
It's an exercise.
Yes, it's an
Yeah.
exercise.
Right. This is even worse than Toastmasters,
You know, when
They
I'm
only
in the
give it a
company,
limited
when I'm
time.
in the company of Filipino friends, I dislike speaking in a foreign language. Sometimes I have like occasions with friends that I intentionally do not invite friends from other nationalities just
Nationalities.
because I don't want to speak. It's not because I don't want to hang out with them, but I feel
You're
the
more
bond,
relaxed. You're
yes,
more
more
relaxed.
relaxed, and just not to, not to use any of my extra brain cells
Yes.
No, but
for
usually
communication.
if we have these kinds of meetings, it's more
But
of we're
do you
very
speak
considerate to other people. I mean, especially to them, because we don't want them to be out of
Of
place.
course,
Yes, of course,
exactly.
of course.
That's
Yes,
why.
yes.
That's why when I have, like, for example, a gathering with non-Filipino friends, and that's fine. I will have other non-Filipino friends, but there are certain occasions where
You
the
prefer to have
guests will
only
all be
Filipino.
Filipinos,
Filipinos,
Right.
yes.
not for
No,
anything
but
else.
when you have a group of friends, mixed group of friends, do you speak Tagalog to your friends while other nationalities are present?
No, I avoid it because, of course, that's very impolite.
Yes, yeah. But
True.
sometimes, like in my case, I've experienced that I automatically speak in Tagalog whenever majority of the group are Filipinos. But as what Dasi said, it's very rude if if a member of your group isn't able to participate because he or she doesn't speak the language.
Mhm. Okay, maybe before we
Correct.
talk about that, let's talk about first, our younger years when we were
Okay,
speaking
okay.
English.
What was
Younger
your
years.
So
question?
my question is,
Was
how is English part of your younger years? Like when you were in school, did you have rules in school where you have to speak in English all the time? Gonar.
I remember in
Okay,
the early
Christy.
days, grade one, grade two, up to maybe grade four. So someone, the sergeant at arms, they call them sergeant at arms.
Yes.
That's a peace
So
officer.
if your name is or was listed, you have to pay also like during those days it was centavos. So it's a small amount,
Because
but
mine is 1 peso.
Yeah, I think
huh?
during my time it was 1 peso.
Okay, so if
Oh, okay. 1 peso was my
When
allowance
was
for the
this?
whole
High
day
school?
already.
Elementary.
elementary,
Elementary. Yeah.
primary,
Elementary.
And you have to pay if you violate the rule. So
yeah.
so far, I did not end up paying because I don't have money to pay. So you have to be very, very cautious that you will not commit the mistake because I don't want to pay because I don't have money to pay.
But did you guys have like those how do you call that? Poster or
Flashcards or
flashcards that they would hang on your neck
on
Oh
your
no,
neck.
no,
that
no.
says
We didn't do
That's
that.
I
shaming.
can't
That's
speak
shaming.
English, something like that, or I don't
No,
speak
we didn't do
English.
that. We don't do
No,
Oh,
that.
you
that's
don't have that.
shaming.
We
Yes.
have
Have you
that.
experienced that? Really?
Yes, yes, we have
That
that.
is so mean.
No, because I think in
And this
my
is a
case,
Catholic school, okay? This is a Catholic school.
But
because I went to school in Manila, so
back then this was not an issue, I guess.
yes.
But if you do this now, you'll be in a lot of trouble.
Yes, yes. I think now people are more politically correct.
I remember also having those kinds of like classes with rules that you have to speak in English, and the only time that you can speak Filipino is in your subject Filipino.
Philippines.
Philippines.
Yeah.
Or
What about
recess.
during break time?
Or break time, yes. But because all the other languages, I mean all the other subjects are in English except
Mhm.
for Araling
Filipino.
Filipino. That's because
Yes.
it's a
Araling
subject, so I'm saying.
Panlipunan.
Araling Panlipunan,
No, we have
yes,
social
yes.
studies.
No, I think for certain
There's
schools they have Araling
certain schools would
Panlipunan.
have Araling Panlipunan.
Others would have social studies or civics.
Civic
Yeah,
and culture when we were in
Yes.
elementary, right?
Yes,
right.
yes,
So I
yes.
caught one here speaking in Filipino. Hello, Po. She said, "Hello, Po."
Hello
That's
po.
okay. Hey, wait. From my experience, usually I also use po because it's a sign of respect for us. It's
Yes.
not really. It's
But
like
that sign of respect is with with the
But
Filipino
it's like
language.
saying, sort of saying la when you.
Yes, yes. For
La is
It's like
a,
Singaporeans and
la is not
Malays,
a
yes, la.
respectful word.
Yeah, but what I mean is, it's a word that it doesn't change the context of your
Yes.
sentence.
And it's
It
part of
just
our
adds
culture.
sort of, yes, a cultural
We're not gonna
angle.
debate about po,
Cultural.
okay? It's not something that we should be
So
debating
are
here.
you
It's not
just,
an
do
English
you just
word.
want to charge Marites?
Yes, Marites. I'll give you my
And I,
Hi,
and I think
girl.
because of
Hi,
that,
girl.
we will log out.
I
right.
will
Okay,
collect the punishment.
of
The
course, you
fines.
are the treasurer. You're the Miss Treasurer.
Miss
Okay,
Treasurer.
partner, what's your story
Yes,
when you were
that's it.
younger?
When I was younger, we would have I remember not you can just speak Filipino in certain subjects, and then the rest you'd have to speak in English. And did that help me? I can't really remember, but I do remember some programs, educational programs that actually encourage learning English using your mother tongue. So that's how you learn it. That is actually how you learn another language, is by using your mother tongue. So some you would say, or would argue that you have to speak in like straight English, for example. But sometimes the thing is, you don't know how to speak the language yet, so it becomes a problem for many.
Mhm. I see. All right. What about you,
It's
Christy? Do
gonna.
What's
you have
that
any stories?
sound?
I
Well,
shared
well,
already. It's
just like
Gonar's
every,
turn.
just like everybody else, yeah, I also went through the same experience in school. I remember like one of my classmates would be designated to uh, list down if he or she catches you speaking Tagalog. But I think for me, the foundation of my English was through reading. My dad would allow me, for example, every weekend to buy the fairy tale books, the thin books. So that's where I started to first learn my English. And then I'm also a proud product of Sesame Street. So for Tagalog, because we're not really a Tagalog speaker, so I learned that in Batibot. But for English, I'm a proud product of Sesame Street. So I remember watching that, and also the cartoons. Like remember every Saturday they would be like cartoons during Saturday morning. So
Like that
that's where
Flying
I
House.
learned my English.
I thought you were watching Flying House.
Yeah, Flying House, and then what they call this? What's the other one?
Flying House and
The Super Book,
Superbook. Yes, and I'm a member
and
of
then
Superbook
yes.
Club.
So that's how I learned my English.
Okay. What about you, madam?
Oh,
Do you
I
have
shared a
anything?
while ago that we have the sergeant at arms, but just like in any elementary courses, the medium of instruction or the medium of instruction was English. But I think I shared in one of the episode that they put me in the SPED class, but I don't have preparatory classes prior to grade one. So at the middle of the school year, the teacher requested my mom to go to school just to inform my mom that I do not know how to read English. Yeah.
I see. All right. So moving forward, when you came now to Singapore, was there any change in your proficiency and communication skills when it comes to English language? Because of course everyone speaks English here. Almost everyone, I
No,
mean.
but it's a different English. It's Singlish.
But it's still in English.
Yes, but
So did it
it's
change?
because the first few times that I produced some video reports, the one that I did with you when I first shared that with my family, everyone told me that, oh, you speak Singlish. Your
Mhm.
English is so Singlish. I don't know because that's how we speak nowadays. But maybe because that's what we hear from each other in Singapore. But when someone back home hears me speak, they know, or maybe because they're my family and they've seen me teach for the longest time. So they told me that you speak English already. I don't know what the difference really.
Mm. Okay, what about Gonar? Coming to, of course, you came from other countries and they speak English, but did your proficiency actually change?
Not so much because since as you said,
Not so much.
well, because I've lived in other countries and practically my proficiency before when I was based full time in the Philippines would be the same as when I started living overseas. But I had to go through that adjustment wherein I had to be used, understanding and hearing the accent. So I think that was the major challenge for me. But it's not really a huge adjustment because you eventually you'll get used to the way they speak, to how fast they speak. It's just a matter of getting used to it. But for me, I'm very very proud of my Filipino accent. So and I don't want to judge, for example, like other people's accent. I think that's part of who they are. We should learn how to respect it. But for me, I've always believed that the Filipino accent is one of our advantages.
Mhm.
It's more
It's clearer.
neutral. Yeah, it's clearer. Although other nationalities may disagree, but that's the reason why there are so many BPOs in the Philippines because our accent is really more neutral. But
Although
not,
they
I think,
actually,
yeah.
I think they
But
adjust a little bit.
when I first arrived in Singapore and I speak the way I speak back home, a lot of people cannot understand me,
Yeah,
and they
yes,
have
yes.
to caution
Definitely.
me to repeat until I learn to speak like you chop the sentences. So
Yeah.
you do away
The
with a lot of
sentences.
conjunction. So
Yes, yes.
when you tell your story, especially me, I tell the story in a very comprehensive way. So you use a lot of conjunction. So when I was starting, when I first arrived in Singapore, a lot of people will tell me that, oh, you speak so fast, or they don't understand. So you have to speak slowly and
Slowly.
you have to truncate the sentences into simpler one.
Mhm, yes, and that is
That
exactly
was my
what happened. Yeah, it's exactly the same thing that happened to me, especially with me that I work in a manufacturing company where the people would really all speak in Singlish. This we're talking about operators, we're talking
Yes.
about technicians. So basically, they don't really speak fluent English. So when I came here, it took me months before I realized that hey, I have to actually learn how to speak Singlish or at least simplify the words that I always use.
But
So
June, I would just like to emphasize that even though they speak Singlish, I don't think we should consider that as not being able to speak fluent English.
I'm not
I
saying
think
they
I know.
don't. It's not about being not fluent. It's okay. Maybe I should correct my statement on that. It's more of they don't really fully understand when you say a sentence and you have complete words.
Yes.
no, they
So
use
for
less
example,
conjunctions.
I
I
cannot
think
even
that's the
yeah,
major difference.
I cannot even recall what a conjunction mean.
If,
I only know
thus,
preposition.
therefore.
I need
I
to
only
go
know
back to my
You
basic
gotta
English.
say, oh, I went to Orchard to see the Christmas light. Therefore, I was happy. So you don't say the whole sentence that way. So you just say, I went to Orchard Road to see the Christmas lights. I'm happy.
I go orchard.
Oh, yun,
Yeah,
I
I
go
go
Orchard.
Orchard.
I go orchard. See lights. The lights like that.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, language is for communication. So I think it's
Yes,
not really, and when you communicate, your intention really is to be understood. So
understood.
to
Correct.
me, it's never an issue. It was
Yes.
never an issue for me. Like for example, like adjusting, because that is what you have to do. You are moving to a different place.
Place.
And
They
that's
have to adjust.
expected that you are the one who will adjust, the same way
Adjust,
that they
yes.
will adjust when they go to the Philippines, for
Philippines.
example.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it's not really, is my English better than yours?
Yes.
Although, of course, we will hear that often. And there is a huge amount of scholarship that talks about world Englishes. Partner,
Yes.
maybe we should consider talking about this in Weekends with Rated
Maybe.
G.
No, but
Hey.
we're
Oh,
not,
as long
we're
as
not
we have,
saying that our English is
that's a good
better
topic.
or
Yeah, no, but
Filipino is
what I'm
better.
saying is, I always hear this from other people. You know, like arguing that, hey, our English is better than this
Better. Yes.
and that. And
Oh, your partner, you're muted.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
oh, that's not Tagalog.
Hey, she's hey.
Hey, hey, hey,
Talk yourself. That's the one.
1 point.
hey.
Hey, not I. It's hey.
Oh,
You should
You
have
can say,
said,
oh yeah, right.
You know, there's one way they say if you want to know if a person is, say, Filipino or not, you try to hurt him, and if that person would say, ouch, then he's not a Filipino. But if he would say, I will not say it, then he's a Filipino.
Aray.
hi. Yes.
hi,
Oh,
Sam,
you can speak English
how
well.
are you?
Very
So we
good
have
in
a
English.
native speaker here, English
Yes.
speaker.
Oh, now you can join us because we're all
Invite
speaking English.
because I'm on the earphones.
Oh, can you speak in English?
Can you sing?
Can you
Can you
understand
sing
us?
your, can you sing your
Oh, holy night. Go ahead, sing it. I'm a She's a little bit shy to
She's
sing.
a little bit shy, a little bit.
Oh, you're not the daughter of Dazzy if you're shy.
A little bit shy.
a little bit only?
A little bit.
Oh, hey, I have a question for
Alright,
you
I
guys.
wrote one for my eye.
Yay.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Okay, I have a question for you guys. When okay, okay. So is it a masquerade or something?
That's correct.
It's a masquerade ball. I have a question for you guys. When you talk to Singaporeans or when you talk to
Wait,
other
have we
nationalities
asked
like
Dassy of
Australians,
her experience?
Yeah, I think she did. She answered it.
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I have a question on this. If you are talking to, let's say, someone from United States as compared to someone who is from Singapore, for example, do you have to adjust your English?
I have to adjust my ears.
Yeah, maybe for a Singaporean, because I think we're used to hearing American English because we always watch American films, TV shows. But for an ordinary Filipino, for example, meeting a Singaporean, not regularly, probably he would have to adjust, but not so much for an American, probably. And I think it's the same way if that person is talking to a British.
Okay, I think because our environment is a little bit
Are
different.
you alright?
Are you?
Yeah, I think no. I mean, what I mean is our environment is a little bit different because you guys usually talk to higher people, or I guess to really
No, we
fluent in
speak to
English.
all walks of life,
Yeah.
people.
No, but I don't know, because in our case, for example, if we have visitors, let's say from the United States, when I talk to them in English, it's a little bit different as compared to when I talk to the locals, and that is very intentional. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay. So what's your
Okay,
question?
no, that was just an interrupting question.
But
Alright,
I
so
think there are some people who can easily adjust. I think it's also a special skill to somehow adjust yourself to the person that you're talking. Because like in my case, I'm not really good in terms of doing accents or like even the process of learning a foreign language is already difficult for me. So for me, I just try to speak clearly, but I find it actually fascinating for some people that they can easily adjust their accent depending on who
they're
they're
talking
talking to. Yeah, and I think that's a special skill.
True. All right.
Me, I
And
have to
that
adjust
and that Sarah said
my
it.
ears. I cannot understand them most of the time. So I have to ask them what?
What? What?
Yeah.
Okay,
Sometimes
let's
they
read.
get annoyed with me because what? Again?
All right, let's read.
Or
Let's read. Okay,
kindly
good
spell.
evening. Good evening, watching from
Watching from
Stevens.
Stevens.
Good evening, watching from Yochukan.
Wow. So far, no one is
Hello.
writing in
Hello.
Maru
Tagalog.
said hello.
Hello,
Hello,
Maru.
Maru.
Maru is there. Nosebleed. Ha ha ha.
Nosebleed.
English only.
Hello. Oh, yeah, have you read this? Oh yeah. Oh, oh, your sister.
That's my sister.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Good
Hi.
evening.
Hi, sister. Older sister.
Sorry,
Yes,
never read
Sorry,
the caption,
never
ma'am,
read
sir.
the
Ha ha
caption,
ha.
mom, sir.
Okay, you're forgiven. You're
Yes, for
forgiven.
now. Okay, I don't want to say.
I don't want to say that. I don't
Don't
know
want to
what to
say.
say. Good evening to
Good
all of
evening
you.
to all of you. Okay, Shine
that's
Sun
cute.
said, "Good evening to all." Rated J. I didn't say the K.
Yeah.
Marisa
Good
Balagat
evening.
said, "Good evening, sir, ma'am."
So far, they're following the rules.
Yes, good evening.
But they're not commenting. They're all saying good evening.
Yeah, you
Yes.
should comment. You should
Answer.
comment.
All right,
Yeah.
friends. What do you
Let's.
remember when you were young? Ah, yeah, this one.
Yes.
What is the
What is the
significance of
significance
the
of the
English
English language to
language?
the
The
Filipinos?
Filipinos.
Why is it so important to us? If
I
it's
think even
important.
before they can reply, they have to, maybe they're having a hard time understanding the question.
Yeah.
Right,
Actually, the question is a bit tricky.
Yes.
right. Okay. I think we will have to do this now before we go to the to the third topic. We have to do this. Okay, while I'm calling. Oh my goodness.
But you have to immediately tell him that both of you has to speak in English.
Yes. I don't know. I think you can. Okay, let me try to. How do I do this?
Do you have a mic?
Yeah, I have a mic. It's just that I want you guys to hear him too.
Yes, so
Hello?
that we can hear him.
Hello, is this Jean? Yeah. Okay, wait, Jean, for a moment.
For a
Okay,
moment.
I don't know what to do. Just give me Jean, can you hear me? Yeah, you're live right now in Rated
Hi,
K. Yeah,
Jean.
and we have to speak in English right
Hi.
now because our topic is about English.
Okay.
Great, perfect. All right, our question to you is what's the significance of the English language to the Filipinos?
Well, the English language is significant to the Filipinos because largely the language that is used in building knowledge, in accessing knowledge is English. So, I mean, most of what is written, most of, I mean, now I'm running out of English. I think we can access knowledge primarily through English. I mean, knowledge is still largely accessed through English. So there's no question about the importance of English
Mhm.
when it comes to global knowledge.
Mhm.
In a sense. So that's it. Of course, it's also economically viable for Filipinos to be able to speak in English. That makes them able to communicate using the international language. That makes them that enables them to communicate with people from other cultures because English is still an international language. So yeah, those are the two things that I can think of. One, access to global knowledge. Second, international communication.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, just to before we proceed, maybe I'll introduce first. We have Dr. Jean Navera. He's a senior lecturer from the National University of Singapore. Welcome to
Singapore.
our talk show. It's a light talk show, Jean. That's why everyone is actually laughing. Although you cannot hear them, but actually they are laughing at the background right now.
Okay.
And we're
I hope
enjoying.
Hi,
it's
We're
not bad.
enjoying.
Jean.
No, they're not. They're not. But
Okay.
we're just enjoying every single word that you're actually saying. Okay, what's the importance for us Filipinos, especially when we talk about work? I mean
When it
English. Yeah. Well, what's this?
Like, do
when
you
What?
think
Yeah.
it would be a
of
disadvantage?
course,
Is it
if
an advantage or
work
a
requires you,
disadvantage?
so if work requires you to speak in English, then English is important. But if work doesn't really require you to speak English, then it's not important at all. I think the problem that we're having right now is that we're giving too much premium on English. I mean, when we're talking about, I think what you're trying to drive at is that it's going to be a disadvantage for Filipinos overseas if we don't speak English. No, that's not true. I think we should disabuse ourselves from thinking that way. I think we should just demystify that. Of course, if you're in the diplomatic corps and your English is atrocious, uh, that puts us all in a grave danger. That's a problem. But I think most of the Filipinos overseas, when we're talking about the global workforce, they're employed not primarily because they can speak English. Of course, English may be an advantage to some, but it's not primarily because of English. It's because of certain skills. It's because of certain resources that they have. It's because of the know-how. So I think English is just one. I think we shouldn't giving too much premium on English. I mean, I teach English, and we talk about these in language policy. Although that's not my field, language policy and planning. But I think there is so much because of the recent survey that we're actually ranked lower than we've been ranked lower than
We
before.
dropped to number 27.
Which doesn't really speak so much about our, whether we're good at it. We're still ranked high, except that probably other countries are doing much better now in terms of English education. Doesn't really translate to what competitiveness. I wouldn't actually make that simplistic equation. Yeah. So my point is, yes, English is important, but it's not the only important factor for a Filipino overseas to get employed. So I think I want to make that very, very clear.
Yes.
As a person who studied English language for my PhD, we're giving too much premium on English, I think, which is a very colonial way of looking at at things.
True. Yep. Right.
Yeah.
Definitely agree with that. I know we don't have any more time, but I just want to ask your opinion about this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, I have an extra question for you. My impression is that Filipinos before are actually better in English as compared to the Filipinos now. Am I wrong in that impression?
I don't have any empirical basis for that. I cannot give a disciplined opinion on that because I don't have the data. Perhaps probably people were more adept at that time because we're exposed to English language channels. Now that television, newspapers, media, even social media has actually been democratized, and actually these different channels are using not just English but Filipino. We've actually, I think, Filipinized Philippine media. That may have been a factor why people are no longer necessarily adept in the language, which to me is not really a disadvantage. We are just actually communicating ideas in a way that is more accessible. I think in a way that is less elitist. I don't think we should romanticize the past. I think we're again. I think that is one thing that we should, I think, disabuse ourselves from thinking that people in the past are better in English. Probably because we have more English language programs before, so people tend to like we probably have that idea that people spoke better English at that time. I don't think that is the case.
Okay, since we're talking about abuse, and I'm gonna abuse you right now. I know we don't have any more time, but 30 seconds of your time. There's a very important question that was given to us here. He's asked, or she's asking, what is your opinion to beauty queens who cannot speak English? I like to interview this guy, actually. That's why I wanted to ask that question as well, even if you don't have the
Well,
time.
that's fine. That's fine. I think beauty queens should be able to communicate their ideas in a language that they're comfortable in. I think English is not necessarily a prerequisite to being a beauty queen, right? I think that, I mean, I'm a pageant fan myself. I'm an enthusiast of beauty pageants, and throughout this, that has already been proven. Latinas won because not necessarily because they spoke English. Other well, an African, an Angolan one in 2011 because she spoke Portuguese, the language of her mother tongue. So I think beauty queens should be allowed to speak in a language that they're comfortable with, that they have facility with. And if it's not English, they should not force themselves into using English.
All right. Great
Love
answer. And with
Thank
that, we all
you.
love your
Spoken
answer.
like a
The
true
crown is
academician.
yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We really enjoyed, and I hope this
And
won't be
he's
the last time.
already
Thank you very
feeling
much.
under the weather.
All right.
Okay,
Stay
bye.
safe. Stay safe. All right.
Thank
Bye.
you. Yeah, that was a
Told you,
good
we're not
point.
That's a
gonna be.
crown, crown-worthy answer.
Answer, yes.
Unfortunately,
Okay.
I don't have a crown to give away.
So just a very quick one. What is your take on that? That Philippines has actually dropped to number 27, although we're still number 2 in Asia after Singapore. What's your take on this?
I'm also not very bothered. I mean, I'm not. I guess it's not the popular opinion about it, but it's a lot of things. It's we haven't even seen the data whether it's really us who dropped in terms of proficiency or it's just other countries stepped up. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
because we have seen many of the countries also realize that hey,
Even
this is
Singapore, actually, they dropped.
yeah. So who went up? Do you know?
That I don't know. I will have to-
We really should have this
you
as
put
a
me on the
topic.
spot, but
Yeah,
yes,
maybe we can do a
you're right.
comparison of the ranking last
Let's
year and this year.
analysis. Which went up, which went down.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
the more important for me, I mean, speaking as an educator, the more important part for this, and I've been to remote communities, and I've seen like trained the youth in remote communities as well, and it's not just being able to speak English; it's also it has to be functional. It's not just the impression is you have to teach English throughout and you have to speak English throughout while you're teaching. And here you have students who cannot even follow because they do not have the foundation skills to speak the language. So I think that's we are not really addressing the root cause
Mhm.
of that specific issue. So to me, as a communicator, I'd prefer that lessons are understood well rather than being so bothered by what was the medium used.
Yes. So we now
Amazing.
give the
I
ground
have
to
to
you.
disagree with
The
that.
crown to you.
Oh, someone has to disagree. Okay, someone
Okay,
disagrees.
go ahead.
Okay,
I
go.
want to believe that in the older generation where English was really the medium of instruction, the people really speak better, and it gives really a premium that when someone sees your resume and they see that you're Filipina or Filipino, they know that you can speak. They equate it to this fellow or this individual can speak fluent English, so without hesitation or without question. So it gives you an instant advantage already. And then I think the decline in the ranking could also be a result of there was an introduction of the Filipino language as a medium of instruction for a while.
For a
So
while,
that
yes.
could have shifted. You're correct that it doesn't matter what's the medium of instruction as long as you were able to communicate the idea or communicate the lesson to the student. But if you have trained the people or you have trained the children from a very young age, like when we were trained as young as 4 years old, you're all speaking English. So when they go to the 7 years old or 8, when you start to impart a bigger ideas, they will be able to comprehend because the basic was there. The only problem is if you did not teach them the basic and then you come to expect them to comprehend the bigger ideas, because we changed the medium of instruction for a while. But I wanted to believe that if you see the resume and it says uh, medium of
Filipino.
instruction is English. I also sign authenticate. I have some requests from also fellow Filipinos from here. They request that we authenticate, for example, that the medium of communication in the office is English, or the medium of instruction back home is English. So that adds up to they will not be required to take the IELTS examination. So that can be a premium for learning the language. Because at the end of the day, you will learn your own dialect. For example, especially in the Philippines, we have 1,200 dialects. So
One
it
cent.
helps to
Languages.
have a common
Languages.
language. Filipino should be the one, but a lot of regions don't respect or don't want Filipino to be the national language.
Yeah, there's a lot of politics when it comes to like which one should be the main language. But okay,
Yes.
just to clarify, English definitely is important because it's the international language of trade.
Language. Yes.
It's just like June's question was, what do we think about the ranking? Like to me, I'm not a strong fan of rankings. I think it's not the only way to measure like aptitude, and we are known anyway. Uh, that is also one of our strengths like, when we get hired. Although I agree with Dr. Jean earlier that that is not the only skills, the only
Yes.
skill set that they're looking for. But I echo that. I mean, I think um,
It's
the
a bonus point.
now it is, yes, of course. I think so too. And the adjustment also is lesser. And you'd know, like for example, even for our household service workers, right? I mean, they prefer
Yeah.
Filipinos because
Filipinos. Yeah.
Filipino.
Because
they
they
know
can
how
speak
they will
English.
be able to
Yes.
communicate well,
Yes.
or they
Yes.
will be able to communicate in English. So there's that like a lesser layer of adjustment.
Yes.
But I don't know. I just have this feeling that Filipinos in the Philippines are
Feeling.
less forgiving as compared to the Filipinos, for example, when they come overseas, like here in Singapore.
What do you
Example, if you hire someone in the Philippines who knows how to speak English very well, as compared to if you're hiring someone here in Singapore who can speak English not so well, for example, I think we are really more forgiving we are more forgiving here than as compared to the Philippines.
I think that's natural because English is our second language. And one thing that has been consistent is that Philippines is one of the what do you call this English-speaking countries. Although it's English is not our native, it's not our mother tongue, but it's our it's part of our daily life. So I would understand if Filipinos in the Philippines would be more critical, are less forgiving. Like going back to your question on right now, people are uh, tend to immediately judge beauty queens who cannot speak English, and I think that's a part of that. Because it's part of our culture. We were colonized by the Americans, so it's something that is natural for us. But given that in overseas, like here in Singapore, the English speaking culture is a lot different. I think more forgiving as compared, for example, in the Philippines. Then naturally, Filipinos in our country would be more critical.
Mhm, mhm. What about our one of our main industries, which is the business processing
Process
outsource, the
outsourcing.
BPOs? Yes.
Yes.
Are we affected with this? I mean, for example, if our ranking drops down, or
You
maybe
know
our
what's
proficiency is
affecting
not.
what is affecting us if we don't
Mhm.
secure this other BPO contracts? It's our the disasters in our country and how they are being managed. The government affects it too. So there are other factors. It's not just
Yes.
how, because definitely if it's the skills in terms of speaking English, I'm pretty sure those investors would know that they will be able to find people who can speak English and speak it
English.
Mhm.
well.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
it doesn't mean that the ordinary Filipino cannot speak in using correct grammar. Doesn't mean that there'll be nobody. I mean that there'll be lesser people who can speak English well, right? But it's
Mhm.
the other factors. I think it's going to be very myopic to think that it's because of the
Myopic.
ranking. Myopic.
Well, myopic.
Word of the
Well,
day.
myopa.
Word of the day.
Myopia.
That's what I.
But I also would like to add for the BPO industry, it has diversified so much that a proficiency in English is no longer the only measure or the only skill
Definitely.
needed. Especially now that we are going into artificial intelligence and that many BPO services are not necessarily does not involve speaking. Sometimes you just need to type or so I think that's one thing that we should be more scared of rather than trying to make a big deal about Filipinos not really knowing to speak English that very well, which might affect how we are able to attract BPO industries. It's more of how we are able to adapt to a more diversified BPO industry.
No, I think one of the best quality of Filipino is in customer service, and most of these BPOs are customer service oriented, and
Yes.
we are very very good at that.
Yes.
And then if you add the English proficiency to that, that makes it a very good candidate. It gives a bonus, but there's an inherent requirement for the BPOs to be, I think, more than the other neighboring countries. I think the Filipinos are really good in customer service.
Yes.
Mm. We are really very good.
Yeah.
I think it's more. It's very cultural, right? I mean, we're friendly and hospitable by nature. So that is I think,
Yes.
the
Maybe we're
ingredient
also
that
trained that way because in the Philippines, you expect so much for the service providers. But for example, when I reach when I moved here in my early days here, I see like signages to respect our
Our
customer
work.
service or our
Yes.
workers. Our
Workers.
workers also has the right. So here you
Yes.
can really speak out if the client is, for example, if the client is not nice or the client is not necessarily right. But in the Philippines, we were trained that the client is important,
Yeah. The customer is always right. I
the
remember that.
customer
Yeah.
is always important. So we were
No, the
trained
customer is
all the
always in
time.
front, not on the right.
So I think that that adds up to it. But I just wanted to point out that the BPO, we may not lose it just because of the ranking, but it will be best to have the ranking as well.
Okay. Speaking of ranking, we have some notes here.
Okay.
Hard. Okay, I think we've read that. Marites says, watching from
Watching for
Chochuang.
God
Good
bless
evening to
everyone.
all. Okay, this one you have to read it. Someone has to read this.
But no, no,
Good
no.
evening to all.
Good evening to all.
She said, good evening to all.
No
Marianne,
one
what's
is
your
answering our
number?
question.
We're gonna collect some money from you. Okay, that's one, two, three,
One,
four
two,
words.
three,
So that's
four.
$4.
Forward.
Okay, Marianne Pacheco, you have $4. I mean, you owe us $4. Okay, $4. Gonna take down
You owe
notes.
us 4 likes. Don't
Yes.
find
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
All
Oh,
right. Good
someone
evening.
answered.
Okay. MB June Abordo. Good evening. I think learning English is important because it is a global language, and for most Filipinos studying English, they do
So
they do so
for
for career and
career
opportunities
opportunities and job
and
roles.
job growth.
She should be given an award for
Because
answering it.
of
Oh,
that,
Maru.
I'm
Maru
gonna
owes
send you one
us.
dollar. I'm gonna give
Okay,
you
next,
$1.
next. Maru owes us money. Hooray.
Hooray!
Three words.
One, two words.
I
Three.
know, two words, two words, two
Two words.
words.
Okay,
At
Maru,
Maru.
you owe us $2. We need this one $1.
$1.
$1.
$1.
Okay, fine. Paul, we will not consider as Filipino. It's
Oh,
a sign of
okay.
respect, according to partner.
Okay.
I may lose my top
My
fan
top fan
badge for
badge
this
for this time. But you were able to express yourself in English. You should be proud of that, Maru.
Maru.
Takashimaya wala
Chansa.
chansa?
Yan.
Wala chance. No
Wala
chance.
wala
Takashimaya, no
wala.
chance.
Okay. Wala. It's a proper word, a proper noun. That's a proper noun. That's a proper noun. That's a proper noun. Filipinos can
Join me.
easily
I'm so
adopt
lonely here.
Filipinos can
Filipinos
easily
can easily
adopt
adopt
whatever. Whatever.
whatever. Whatever. Okay.
She
Whatever.
already lost her train of thought.
Whatever
Language it is
language
Filipinos can
it
easily
is,
adopt.
Filipinos can
Yes,
easily adopt.
true, true.
I love to pick up sticks. Just kidding. I love to pick up some of the language like
Like
Korean,
Korean,
Malay,
Malay,
Chinese.
Chinese.
It's Chinese.
Oh, that's Tagalog. Ano,
No,
June.
I'm just reading it.
No, it's Chinese. But you
No,
should have
there's
translated
no,
it.
there's no Oh, I don't want to read this again.
Oh, one,
Good
two,
evening to all.
3, 4,
Four,
5,
five,
$5.
oh, six. One, two, five,
Six.
$6. One, two,
No, because
three.
po is not
Oh,
counted.
yeah, correct. $5. Take note of this. Love Cecilio Lavay.
I don't think you can count the po here because it's not like English and then he or she just used both for, like for emphasis or something.
Yeah, so that's why
Oh,
it's
six.
$5. $6.
You can just
Okay,
charge them with subscribers, right?
yeah. You owe us
In
six
dollars or in
subscribers.
subscribers?
You have to go and call your parents, your sisters, your brothers, ask them to go and like and subscribe. Okay, this one. I'm late. Good evening. You're late or you just don't want to talk?
So far only one person has answered our question. I think they're very afraid.
Don't be afraid. Because of that, we will give you
This
surprise.
one is already.
Oh, we have two.
Yeah.
So MB
Take note of this.
June and
No, we've already read this.
yeah, but I mean we have two.
Two persons
Yes,
who
First of all,
already.
we have to
Yes,
commend
fun.
you and we will give you some prizes
Okay.
in
For being
future.
brave enough.
All right, my last question, and probably this is already our, and I thank you.
Yes.
What is the relevance or significance for us to be proficient with the English language? Why is it so important for us? Or is it really important for us to be good in English? Okay, first one. Who wants to be our first? Wait, what's it now? To go and find it.
Gonar.
Our and I thank you.
And I thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Gonar, as usual, the
As
valedictorian of the
usual.
class. Ready and
Okay.
go.
Well, for me, it's not really that important because the Philippines has always been an English speaking country to the point that other nationalities already recognize our accent. So I think that's already a positive sign how other nationalities appreciate and recognize our English speaking abilities. And remember before we had an episode on learning Tagalog and other indigenous languages in the Philippines. So I think for me, it's not so much about being conscious on whether we speak good English or not. It also should not be like a fight between learning English or learning Tagalog. I think for me right now I'm more impressed with people who are so-called polyglots who can speak many languages because right now um, the world has become one huge marketplace. Borders, walls are being broken down. So right now, instead of not just learning how to speak English or learning your national language, it's also a plus if you're also able to speak other languages. Because I think that's the true mark of not just being an internationalist, but like a real globalist person. You have to learn as many languages as you want because right now I think that's the name of the game. And I thank you.
All right. Okay. Our next speaker of the house
Speaker of
is
the House.
Speaker of the House.
I think
who wants?
we're now in Parliament. Parliament.
No,
Is
you
it
can.
Jancy or Christy? Okay, Christy, you want to talk first?
Yeah, I can. I can
Okay,
share.
go,
It's
Christy.
relevance. Why is it relevant for us to be proficient in English language up to this time? As we have shared, it's a global language that is understood by many or by more. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the only language that we need to know, but it is still relevant and it is still important nowadays. As I've shared, it can be a bonus or a plus to whatever we have. Like what I have shared a while ago, we are good with BPO because we're really good, inherently good in customer service because we are inherently a caring society. But if you add the English proficiency, it will make you more saleable. And for that, it is still relevant. We don't know in the coming years, maybe it will be Chinese or Mandarin that will be more relevant to be part of our resume. But as of now, I think English is still a global language that is understood and that is used by more of the players in the market. So it's important that we will still maintain our proficiency in English.
And
And I thank you.
all right. Okay, partner, go.
Yeah, now I don't have any choice. I have to speak. I don't have extra brain cells tonight. But all right, so relevance of English. I think it remains very relevant. And of course, we should maintain this skill because it's really, while it's not, it may not be the only skill needed, but it definitely gives an umph. It gives a bonus, just like what Christy, Madam, mentioned earlier. But I think we also shouldn't agonize about the ranking. What I mean is, it's not the only measure. It's not the only metric that we have to think of. I think what's more important is that we ensure that the use of the language is functional, and it's not just students, say, in the rural areas, in the rural communities, that they're just memorizing and not really understanding what they're saying, just for the sake of sort of demonstrating the knowledge of the language when it's not really functional. Functional language is, I think, better where they can use it to converse and to really express themselves well. And I think it should be balanced with other say when it comes to education, balanced with other subjects that are equally relevant when you go out of the country. So it remains relevant, but again, no, there is no uh we don't I don't see any added benefit if we agonize and think that, in the past we were better and all, but just move forward and think on how we can retool ourselves on using this language to our benefit. And I thank you.
All right. That, that's sexy. That's sexiness. Ah, I like that.
Nah.
Most
Okay, my last words for tonight. Okay, I have to put myself there. Okay, the question is it still really relevant? I hate this one. Okay, is it still relevant? Yes, it is still relevant, and it will always be relevant because English is still considered as our international business language. Now, I always have this impression that people who speaks English are really very impressive, are really good, but and there are people who really can speak the language with even highfalutin words. But to me, when but to me, right now, what is more important is the substance. Every time someone else opens his or her mouth, whether it is in English or in Filipino, what is more important to me is the substance that the person is actually saying. If the person just talks and talks and talks without anything, without any substance, then that doesn't make sense to me. There are people who really there are people who are really very good also in substance, but sometimes they have so much in their minds that they're not able to articulate it. So I think it's just a balance of whether you're good in English and you have that substance. So I'm always impressed with those kinds of people who are really very good in English and yet they have the substance. Now, I still believe that we Filipinos should continue to improve ourselves in terms of English. To me, I have high regards to my to the older generations, because every time I talk to them, when they speak in English, it's like it becomes a first language to them. And I'm not saying that this is bad or this is good. Rather, it's just impressive for me because they could speak better English than I could speak in English. So will it make my life important, or will it make my life better because they speak better, because I speak in English better than anybody else? I think no. Again, at the end of the day, it's whether it is important to your job. If your job requires you to speak in English, and if it requires you to speak English, then you should be good in English as well. But in my case, because it doesn't necessarily need to be good in English, so that's why I'm not good in English. Yeah, so that's about it. So I'm more impressed with people who have substance rather than just talking English without any substance. All right, then I thank you. All right.
I thought you'll
Okay.
forget that. Thank
So
you.
who will be penalized?
Wait, let me just see here.
Now, since we
What is
only have a few, maybe we can make that $100.
oh
Yes, that we just agree on that.
right. Wait.
Spoken
There's
like a true
some
banker.
comments here. Tips on how to speak fluent in English. Okay, those who are fluent English, please
Read
answer
it.
that.
You
Read
keep, yeah,
English
read.
books.
Yes.
And don't be
Read and
embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed
practice.
to use the language. It doesn't matter if you think it's wrong grammar. You actually polish your grammar by reading and
Reading
Correct.
using and
and
communicating
practicing.
and
Yes.
Because
practicing.
even Filipinos, we also commit wrong grammar, right?
Yeah, actually,
Even
Because when we
myself, when I
translate,
learned
that is, I think that is how that topic on world English is. Of course, when we translate, when we communicate, we somehow follow. Although we know the syntax and grammar of the English language, of course, it's you can't help it. Sometimes, if it's a language that's not familiar to you, you'll tend to use the rules and the syntax of your native tongue. So that's
um,
why we also commit those grammar mistakes, I think.
right, right, yeah, but partner is correct. You have to really read and read and read and practice and use it and
English
talk to.
text. Okay. Of course, choose the things, the books and materials that you will read. Make sure they're They have
What
fluent English.
are
Yes.
there literature, are there fictional books or non-fictional books which are also not so
Yes,
good?
yes, partner. Because now with social media, everybody can
I mean,
just,
don't talk, I mean, it's not about social media. I'm talking about hard books.
So
yes,
I think
yeah,
just
there
read the
are books
newspapers.
there are books.
Right.
Newspapers is an accessible source of
And it's a cheap.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
also,
Yeah, and very,
you
very
can
adequate.
practice by typing or by, even when you type, when you send messages, you can practice by writing
Yes.
in complete sentences instead of using the
Correct.
text lingo.
I
Yes,
actually
yes,
forgot
yes.
to ask you about that, guys. Has it affected your spelling proficiencies? Because right now we have autocorrect.
Uh,
Me, not really.
Yeah.
I'm
Or do you
always
turn off?
auto-corrected. I'm always auto-corrected by the recipient of the message.
Because it is,
Because he's a native speaker.
yes.
Yes, they will always correct me to say, like my usual error is did has to be present tense
Present
followed by
tense.
present tense. So sometimes, and sometimes actually the autocorrect causes my error.
Causes my error.
No, because my phone has a limited words. So sometimes you pick up whatever is stored there. So they don't follow the correct grammar anymore because only limited words are stored in my phone.
I think it's
And
not
then
so much affecting our proficiency, but it has made people more lazy because they have, we have
True.
autocorrect, and
no, that's because
we should not stop being more critical in terms of
yeah, you
our
expect other
English.
people to understand. So sometimes
Yes.
I don't even correct. Even if I see I miss something, sometimes I'm lazy to correct. So the asterisk is not useful to me. I'm not a fan of the asterisk.
I am a fan of the asterisk. Hi,
Yeah,
good evening.
I
Shout
always use.
out to Eden Rose, Alpas Badol, and Chris
Pen.
Peñafiel.
Penya PL.
Nice name. Oh, you're the one who uses a lot of high polluting words. No, I don't. Thank you and stay safe. That's why I had to change immediately because I don't agree with that. Listening and reading can help us speak fluent English and
Yes.
watching TV. Watching the news, watching the English
Yes.
news, English
English
newscast.
news. Yes.
That's where I actually learned English by watching The World Tonight. Right. Thank you and stay
Thank
safe.
you.
Evening. All right. Okay. Someone has to go now for another meeting. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you for
Hey,
joining us tonight. Please
everyone.
join us again next week for another fun-filled discussion
Wow.
here. Here in on. Okay, this is also
Next
another
week, no more English. Next week, no more English.
in on at
Under, over, above.
here in
With
with
In Kuru-Kuro
Went
Kuru-Kuro
Kuru-Kuro
Sessions.
Sessions.
session.
Bye
Bye.
everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.